The New York Knicks could be gearing up for a major trade. Reports have been flying linking the Knicks to several teams, and the Knicks could potentially pull off a trade for one of its current players. We're also going to look at Bleacher Report as they given us a potential trade the New York Knicks could go into to move a player and get another piece to add to this roster. We're going to be breaking all of this down and more today. Let's get started. The New York Knicks are apparently looking to trade Evan Fournier in a major deal. This was first reported by Jake Fisher of Yahoo Sports. According to Fisher, New York remains engaged on trade avenues for Fournier and are amenable to doing so as part of a multi-team framework. Fournier signed a 4-year deal with the Knicks worth up to $78 million in August 2021, but he has failed to live up to expectations since. Now that was a report from Jake Fisher. This is a major report if you're following this story because we've been waiting for the Knicks to trade Evan Fournier. And Steve Popper a couple of weeks ago told us that the Knicks wanted to do right by Evan Fournier and trade him to a team where potentially he could have more playing time and wouldn't wind up on the bench like he did with the Knicks and not have any time at all. So there's been a number of reports linking the Knicks to potential trades, and now we hear that the Knicks are looking to potentially make a multi-team trade. If that's the case, they're looking to make a major move, either for themselves or to help another team make a major move. But a major trade is incoming if they're looking to work with multiple teams. And I hope it's the Knicks trying to include Fournier into a deal for a legitimate piece that the Knicks can use and build with. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen, but the fact that a multi-team deal may be on the table for the New York Knicks, as reported by Jake Fisher, it's very, very important to note that if the Knicks are part of this deal, they're likely going after a star or a superstar player. And the reason I say that is because they need to make the money, the picks, and the players work. And right now, the Knicks don't have any type of cap room to work with. So if they're looking to make a major move, they're going to have to include another team in order to help facilitate that move and get them the player that they want. Again, it's not surprising to see Evan Fournier in trade talks. Nobody thought at all that he was going to be brought back next season, including himself. If you recall, during the end of the season, Fournier, when he was asked if he was going to be back next season with the Knicks, he said the following: "You know I'm not going to be back. There's no way they're going to keep me. I would be very surprised if they do. So we'll see. It's obviously not in my hands though." And of course it's not. The way his contract is structured, he has a $19 million club option for 2024-2025. So that means any team that trades for him is essentially getting an expiring contract because they can waive him next season and not have him on the books to hurt their cap. So there's a lot of ways we can look at this. And Steph Bondy even reported as well too that the New York Knicks last month were even trying to work out a trade to move Evan Fournier. So to hear that they're continuing talks to move him is not surprising at all. And I'm very happy to hear that they are looking to move Evan Fournier. I thought they should have moved him during the trade deadline last season because his value was sinking and getting lower and lower and lower. And unfortunately now, I would argue his value has not been lower in his entire career than it is right now. He barely played any games for the New York Knicks this season. And when he did play, it was only due to injury. And it was in limited minutes for that fact alone. He didn't get much time under Thibs when he was replaced by Quentin Grimes. And we all kind of saw that coming the season prior because we knew he wasn't going to be kept in the starting lineup, especially when we saw Grimes coming along. So it was very, very good for Knicks fans to see Quentin Grimes get the start over Evan Fournier. I can personally speak to that. I loved seeing that. Evan Fournier barely plays any defense. For all the offense that he gives you, he gives it right back to you on defense because he's Swiss cheese, like Clyde would say on defense. He gives everything back to you. Any guard can take him off the dribble because you can just penetrate past him whenever you want. He doesn't keep his body in front of defenders, and that's why he can get beat so easily. So there are flaws with his game. But if a team already has good defense around them and they just need a shooter, then in that type of role, if that's all that's needed, that team probably should trade for Fournier because that team would have a fit for him and he would be able to do something on that team versus on the Knicks, where if he stayed, he would likely continue to do nothing. While we don't know who the New York Knicks are potentially talking to in a trade for Evan Fournier, Bleacher Report does its best job in GM when it gives us a Fournier trade that it thinks the New York Knicks should make. So according to Bleacher Report's Greg Schwartz, he believes that the New York Knicks should entertain the following trade idea. Schwartz suggests that the Knicks give up Fournier and a top 10 protected 2024 first round pick for Bojan Bogdanovic. That is a major trade that Greg Schwartz wants the Knicks to make, and it means losing a first round pick. Essentially, moving Fournier and his contract and a future first, even if it's top 10 protected, for Bojan Bogdanovic, who's 34 years old. He's a power forward, but still 34 years old. So he's getting older. He doesn't fit the age timeline of the New York Knicks, but if you're adding him just to get rid of Fournier, and you're adding him to help fill a void at backup power forward, I can understand that. But trading a first round pick, even if protected, with Evan Fournier? Have we not learned our lessons? Getting rid of contracts and players just because we shouldn't have signed them at that amount in the first place. We lowered their value, and now to get off of them because we lowered their value, we have to include a first round pick? No. Greg Schwartz, I love you, brother. You've been on my show before, and I really appreciate you. But there is no way that I would want Bojan Bogdanovic on my team if it meant giving up a first-round pick. Now, let's not get it twisted here. This trade package that he's giving right here, again, which is a top 10 protected 2024 first-round pick, and Evan Fournier for Bogdanovic. It's not a bad trade in terms of if you look at what Bogdanovic gives you. If you look just at that, he gives you 21.6 points per game on 48.8% shooting from the field, including 41.1% from downtown. That is incredible shooting and incredible numbers from him. So he definitely fills a void in a spot for the New York Knicks. We needed three-point shooting in the playoffs. We needed it during the regular season. He fills those voids and checks those boxes. We need a backup power forward. He fills that box too. He might help us play some small ball lineups if Tom Thibodeau feels comfortable with him at the three, because again, he can shoot the three very, very well. He's capable. So if that's the case, you might see a small ball lineup featuring him if the Knicks were to pull off this trade. I say if, because in my head, in my mind, there is no way in hell the New York Knicks should pull off this trade. They should not even make this trade. As soon as they heard first round pick, they should have hung up the phone and never picked it up again. Check this out. Bogdanovic is signed to a 2-year, $39 million contract, which starts in 2023 and 2024. That's important to note, actually, because his contract right now is actually similar to Evan Fournier's contract per year. The thing, though, is that he gives you way more production than Evan Fournier gives you. But the defense is shaky with him, too. So it's not like if you add Bojan, you added the defensive specialist. He doesn't help with that either. He's still a liability in that regard. Although not as big of a liability as Evan Fournier, still a liability. So you fill a hole, but then 2 more spots open up. So it doesn't really help in that regard. So I think the cost of Fournier, who I'd love to get off of, but the first round pick, I can't do it. Anytime I look at a trade, I look at it from 2 sides. How do the Knicks get better, and what do they give up? And if they're giving up first round picks for a player that's 34 years old, is going to primarily be a backup, play limited minutes, even though he gives you great shooting, and is not going to be an impact player for the Knicks, then there's no way I'm giving up a first round pick, even if I'm getting rid of Evan Fournier and that contract. Even if. I would rather keep Fournier on the bench than give up a first round pick, because this particular trade scenario for me doesn't make sense. I understand what it helps with and what it gives you, but in my opinion, the cost is too high. I am not tying more money up in a player that's that age, number one. And number two, I am damn sure not doing that and adding a first round pick in the process to try to get that package for the Knicks. We all know the New York Knicks are looking to make a major trade. And now we know that potentially Evan Fournier could be part of that deal, especially if several teams are involved. That usually points to the fact that a major trade is coming. What happens though, we'll have to wait and see. All I can say is, If the New York Knicks pick up the phone and hear this trade from the Pistons, they should hang up, disconnect the line, and never pick up again. We should not be trading first-round picks to get off of players. We have to stop that trend and stop it now. It does not make sense for this franchise to continuously give up first-round picks, protected or not, to move players. We have to stop that. So I hope if this trade is on the table, it gets declined and gets declined immediately. If you like this video, go ahead and leave a comment below, smash that like button, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knicks fans. Peace.